Hello, everybody out there in YouTube. We are the Middle-Aged Guys, and E3 is over for 2017. It is the 5th. It's the 16th now, actually. We're past midnight, but the 15th is past. Third day of E3 is over. The biggest trade show for video games that's held out throughout the whole year. It's come, it's gone, and we're going to go ahead and talk about our overall thoughts on it. You might have seen our videos for the individual presentations or individual assets of each presentation. But this is where we're going to talk about our overview. All right. Before we even get that far, let's go ahead and do our introductions. I'm the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And I'm Gray Mouse 1.
E3 came and gone, guys. And I got to say, I definitely have thoughts on it. All right. Sure, we may not have put out all of our videos that we've recorded so far, but we definitely have thoughts. But we're going to kind of try to break it down like this, okay? We're going to talk about what we liked, what we didn't like. If there was any particular game or a few games that surprised us, that we got us really interested, maybe even mention something that we didn't give a fuck about, and then give our final thoughts, okay? I hate, just like Gray Mouse, I hate to be that guy who sits there and says, oh, Nintendo won E3, or Sony won E3, or Microsoft won E3. All right. Generally speaking, as far as every E3 goes, as long as an E3 happens, you know who wins E3 is fucking gamers, it's players, all right? Okay? As long as new shit is coming out and they're not sitting there and saying, hey, look, this new console has a fucking IV drip for you to go ahead and stick, puncture your vein on to fucking handle fucking DLC and shit like that. Until something like that is announced, as far as gamers go, yes, this is an expensive hobby, but it's still good for us, especially when you have so many presences and so many fucking games announced. All right. Now I know we went ahead. We've covered. EA, Electronic Arts, Bethesda, and Microsoft. If you guys want to go ahead and visit those again, we can. But out of the publishers that went ahead and had huge press conferences, which was the one that you were impressed with the most? I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor with that question.
Oh, boy. Is there one? Okay. I was impressed by Nintendo. Out of any of the big three as a whole, the big three, Nintendo answered the call. As far as other third-party publishers, Ubisoft had a good presentation, and even for me, Bethesda had a good presentation because of the games that they showed and the demos that they showed.
But why Nintendo over those other two then?
Because of the IPs that they announced.
Okay.
And it was just okay. Generally speaking, Nintendo, it was kind of a do or die situation for them. It was put up or shut up. You just released the Switch, this new ass hardware that everybody is creaming over since it was released. And yes, it has its little tidbits and problems and stuff like that, but the release was solid. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is very solid. They have third-party support. There was third-party support announced through the fucking E3 event. So, but when Nintendo laid out within the first 10 fucking minutes, here, and here, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done with. Yeah, okay. And I mean, I'll go into that in a little bit. But as far as, okay, same question to you, Gray Mouse. Which one, if any, of the conferences actually impressed you the most?
I actually will have to go with, it's kind of a three-way tie for me. I really enjoyed Bethesda, Ubisoft, and Nintendo, with EA up there a little bit, because I know EA is the evil empire, but they did announce two IPs, brand new IPs, which it looks very, very interesting, and I'm glad for them for that. I think their presence, EA rather, I think their presence was very strong this year. course, you know, par for the course with the sports games. Of course, that's going to come out. Bethesda and Bethesda was a wild one. It really strange, very interesting IPs. That one with the oh my god, man! You know, it was to a point where like, what are we watching here? You know, and that gets people to talk. Even if the games, you know, that gets people talking about it, which is what you want. And then with Nintendo, I mean, what's more to say about that? They announced the certain IPs that has been long dormant, and that's definitely a plus. That's just my I mean, Microsoft, you know, I mean, with the finally shown the what do you call it, the Scorpio, and a little bit what it can do, and then also OG backwards compatibility. That was huge for Microsoft. That was something that's been long asked for since the beginning of, you know, the Xbox One's life cycle. So that's definitely a plus. And Sony, I really did like their presentation. They're always been, for the last 3 or 4 years at E3, their presentation's been phenomenal. It's, you know, they are artistic. They're the only one that does that with live music and waterfall and pictures on the water, and that was crazy, you know. So I mean, all in all, like I said, I think it was a very, very rounded E3 this year.
If you were pressed to pick one over all the others, where would you put your money on?
I can't. I was really, like I said, I was really satisfied with every one of them. But if I were to pick, I'd probably the same thing as the theme. I'd go with Nintendo simply because, you know, those IPs were announced that's been long dormant, and I think I'm a little partial to that because, you know, that Nintendo was actually sorry to monopolize time here, but the Switch was just launched, and I think it was very crucial for them to like, okay, you saw our hardware, now here's the software, and they just went here. This is coming. And the beautiful thing about it is every one of those games is coming sometime this year, with the exception of 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And it's just, you're like, huh? Your game overload, my wallet's going to be empty, open it up and spiders and flies flying out of it. Nothing. So Nintendo would be the overall.
Okay. All right. You know, the funny thing about this particular one, I got to say that overall I was a lot more impressed with a lot of the press conferences than what I expected to be. Generally speaking, and you can check back on the preview or our predictions video, I did not expect anything at all from this E3. I thought everything was going to be just run-of-the-mill. There was going to be no surprises. There was going to be nothing that was going to get me curious or excited for anything that was coming out, you know, post E3. I mean, there's a lot of games that we already know are coming out for the rest of this year, and it's not like this year hasn't already been fucking packed already. So, you know, as far as it went, I was like, all right, you know, it's whatever. You know, some things are going to come out for the Xbox One. Yeah, we're going to have Crash the Scorpion. Some things are going to come out for the PS4 Pro or the PS4, and the Switch will hopefully have some games. Maybe somebody from third party will go ahead and pop up, you know. But I'd have to say overall, I was pleasantly surprised more often than not this particular E3 conference. All right. I will say initially my surprises the surprises that I got from Microsoft went ahead and it was very impressive to me. All right. There was a lot of stuff that showed that Phil Spencer and a lot of people were paying attention to a lot of the feedback and a lot of the issues that face Microsoft and the Xbox One, Scorpio or no Scorpio. All right. Whether or not the Scorpio is set to release out later on this year, even if that wasn't the case, there's a lot of issues that are facing Microsoft. However, all right, the thing that keeps me from saying that was my favorite presentation was that they played a lot of word games with their verbiage as far as what their definition of exclusive is very, very broad, okay? And I'm gonna jump into that deeper a little bit later, okay? But because of that, you know, the problem with Microsoft's presentation, I mean, it was very memorable to me. But one of the reasons why it was memorable was because I had some real pressing questions, okay? And because of that, I can't say it's my favorite fucking presentation of the whole conference. All right. Nintendo's was really impressive. All right, and generally speaking, for what they packed in 25 minutes, it's really. It's actually artistically a miracle for what they went and they presented. All right, and for all you motherfuckers out there saying, "Oh, all they showed off was announced Metroid and they showed off Mario and Nintendo fanboys creamed their pants. Was there anything else?" Yes, there was something else. There's fucking Kirby. There's the Zelda Breath of the Wild expansions. They announced they were developing new Pokemon. Rocket League is cross-platform compatible, including the Switch. Okay, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Fire Emblem Warriors, new Yoshi game, and there was the Mario and Rabbids fucking battle game on Ubisoft's fucking presentation. So guess what? If you're one of those motherfuckers who is being intellectually dishonest saying, "Oh, Nintendo's presentation wasn't shit. All they showed was Mario and they showed a 4 for Metroid 4 Prime." Fuck you, okay? All right, reel it back a second, all right, and pay attention to the other fucking 20 minutes I was there, all right? Really, okay? But that aside, I think, honestly, my particular favorite presentation was actually Ubisoft's, okay? And I find that really, really odd, and this one really comes out of left field. I didn't understand why until actually I thought about all of the presentations overall, and I also listened to, had a few conversations with other people and listened to some feedback from other more well-known YouTubers about this. But the thing with Ubisoft is that, okay, generally speaking, the whole thing was pretty cool, except for the Just Dance segment. But Just Dance is a very successful IP for them, and that they put out on a regular basis, and a lot of people play. Maybe not myself, maybe not any of the other middle-aged guys, but a lot of people play. All right, that and the fact that Baby Raisin is pretty thick in a good way. All right, but that's something I'll put aside. All right. The thing about Ubisoft's presentation is that they didn't just do a presentation because they needed to. They didn't do just a presentation because the corporate suits want to go ahead and show things off so that their stock price would shoot up for the roof. It really came across that they were doing this presentation. They were showing off these games because they liked what they were fucking doing and they wanted people to fucking play them. All right? Especially pointing out the fact that they ended up the presentation with Beyond Good or Evil 2. All right? Granted, it didn't show off any gameplay. And a lot of it was very conceptual, okay, and everything else. But look, if you know the story of Beyond Good and Evil and Michael Ancel and the way that he's been trying to get a sequel, originally his plan was that it was going to be a trilogy from the first one onward, and they were going to get that done, pop out the second or third part, 2 years apart from each other, and then that was going to be something where number 3 may have seen release on the Xbox 360 or the PS3, right? But literally, it's been, I don't know, I know it's definitely been over 12 years since the release of Beyond Good and Evil. And I guess, re-releasing the HD remake of it on Xbox Live and PlayStation Network kind of showed the folks at Ubisoft that, guess what? People are willing to pay money into this fucking IP, especially finishing up on that point. It really proved that Ubisoft was really into, hey, we want to do this. These are games that we want people to play. And, that's the reason why it kind of takes it for me. The passion that I would normally see from somebody like Nintendo or even small indie developers who are like, oh, this is really fucking cool. We're actually here at fucking E3. That surrounded 90%, the grand majority of the Ubisoft presentation. And that's the reason why it was probably my favorite one. Okay? Which brings us to the flip side. What was your least favorite presentation for E3 this year?
For me, it either has to go with Sony or Microsoft. And here's why. Okay. Sony, okay. Maybe expectations were too high for either of these, but for Sony, they basically, really didn't announce anything new. Most of it was just shit that we knew from last year, or maybe even as far as 2 years ago, that was coming out. Yes, they showed gameplay of things like the new Uncharted and the God of War. Okay, that's fine, but that was to be expected. But I'm still kind of confused on why they didn't show any fucking gameplay or footage or anything of The Last of Us 2. Spider-Man was their biggest presentation as far as anything that was, okay, out of the blue. Spider-Man, okay, and that did absolutely fine. But again, that was some shit that we already fucking knew about. What really sticks to me about the Microsoft conference is what the Reverend alluded to earlier. Okay, they tried to say, console exclusive instead of Xbox One, Windows 10 exclusive. They tried to change their wording up to make it seem like, okay, this is only for us. We have it here. Until they start announcing things for their console, totally for their console. And okay, you just gave a reason for people to upgrade their PCs to Windows 8 to Windows 10 at that point. I could see that as being an argument as saying that, okay, you could upgrade your Xbox One to Xbox One X. I don't even like the name of that console, but that aside, at least they showed certain things that were operating on it. But for me, it will be either one of those two. And maybe my expectations were too high for them, but still, I mean, they should have done a lot more, especially exclusives for their consoles that you can't get anywhere else.
So if you had to flip a coin, which one would end up on top?
What,
as far as your least favorite?
As far as my least favorite?
Yeah.
Man, this year, man, I'm trying to think. Maybe I have to come back to that. Maybe I have to reevaluate both in order to give you an answer.
So we'll leave it a push on Sony and Microsoft for the theme. What about you, Grey Mouse? What was your least favorite presentation out of everything on E3?
I would have to say Sony. I was very disappointed with Sony. I guess, I'm kind of same boat with the theme. I was expecting them to at least throw out a couple more IPs and stuff to keep that fluid going, like the momentum rather going from the last couple of years. And it just seemed to me like they're pushing a ball up a hill and it's coming back and sliding down on them. Which brings me to the point that I feel that Sony is becoming more, how successful Sony is, they're becoming complacent in these things. And, I'll just go ahead and say it right now is that Microsoft will never catch up to Sony this generation or whatever you want to call it. It's not going to happen. Sorry. But that doesn't necessarily, just because you got the lead, that doesn't necessarily that you quit trying. And I kind of felt that that's the way they did and with Sony this year. But for the weakest, I'd say Sony is the weakest. Microsoft is right above. And the reason why it's above is because, at least with Microsoft, they showed 20 to 25 games of ID, of individual development games that are exclusive to the Xbox console or the Xbox brand. And I don't like the whole thing with how they consider the Xbox One X and the PC pretty much the same platform. And there's really, again, I kind of echo the same thing that the theme said earlier, is that you're giving people no incentive to buy your console when you could just get it on a PC. I understand the concept. I got you. I understand that you want Xbox One and Microsoft or PC, they're one and the same. But when you're trying to sell the fact that you got a new you got the Scorpion coming out in November, just selling it as the first 4K true 4K gaming system is not going to be enough to push you to accelerate you in this what do you call it, in this generation, I think. Now I guess I'm kind of the same way the theme is. I'm kind of Sony and Microsoft is kind of in the bottom for me. It's hard to, I mean, both did things wrong, both did things, Sony presentation was great as always, but I mean, I think Sony kind of bogeyed this. I mean, it's not even par. I think they kind of bogeyed this course. And at least Nintendo, or I'm sorry, at least Microsoft parred, and that's the way I feel.
Okay.
More or less. I mean, because, you got both bads and goods, but Microsoft kind of, I think with OG backwards compatibility and the fact that they did have a lot of ID games, they threw that in the middle, and it's a whole bunch of like 23 or 24, and I don't even think an ID game was even shown on the Sony on Sony side of the house. I really don't. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Am I wrong? I don't know.
No, I can't recall.
And I can't recall any independent games on Sony.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying I think Sony bogeyed and Microsoft par. That's not good, but if I have to choose between the either or, I would say Microsoft's conference is a little better than Sony's this year. And, and then the third party, those were out. It kind of flipped the script this year. Usually third party's all fucked up, and the main ones are fucking awesome. But it's like it shit kind of flipped the switch on us, or flipped the script on us this time. But those are my thoughts.
Okay, so with Theme and Grey Mouse, we've got a push between Sony and Microsoft on both. It looks like with Grey Mouse, Sony a little worse than Microsoft.
Sony
at least
a little worse.
Yeah, it's a little worse. All right, I gotta say the one presentation that people were talking about really negatively was the Bethesda one. All right, but the thing about it was that Bethesda had as little human interaction on stage as possible, and they went ahead and they played up a lot of their games that they're coming out, and they went ahead and they presented pretty much mostly for that 45 minutes. Hey, look, these are games that we got, and there's some other odd things went ahead and sprinkled in between. Pretty much, they tried to Nintendo their presentations, because this is how Nintendo usually does their E3 directs and everything, minus the white liquid shit. Okay, seriously, but generally speaking, that's how Nintendo handles a lot of their E3 presentations. And, maybe it's because of the IPs and the subject matter and how things were cut. Maybe they just took it a little too far out into left field or whatnot. But folks were kind of put off. I don't think that's not my least favorite one. I thought it was actually pretty fucking interesting. Okay, we had more than enough to talk about when we did our videos. If, by the way, if I finally get them posted up, I know the Theme went ahead and he posted up all the versions of the trailers that we talked about. If I finally get up to it, there'll be a card someplace up here for you to go ahead and check out, and you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. However, when it comes to worst presentation out there, unequivocally, I gotta say something. All right. As far as artistic presentation, flash on screen and everything else, except for some sound faux pas that they had right in the beginning and everything, all right, it was pretty to look at. But it didn't have any soul. And like I said, I didn't know what bugged me about this presentation until I started talking about it with other people offline, and also watching some other YouTubers and watching them give their impressions of it and everything else. But it really felt like Sony was going through the paces. Like, wasn't something that they wanted to do. It's something that they had to do. So they were just going to go ahead and get it over with. All right. And maybe it's because maybe it's because they didn't have like some overt ammo that Microsoft was handing them to go ahead and make it look really fucking good or anything like that. But it just seemed like, okay, we're going to go ahead and show you updated footage of stuff we announced last year. There may be one or two new things. Oh, yeah, we're still doing VR, by the way. Please get a hold of this. We're going to try to give you reasons so we can make a buck off of this. It was really fucking expensive, of which they spent like over 10 minutes on fucking VR, right? And then they went ahead and they showed everything else. And granted, God of War looked great. Days Gone looked great. All right, Spider-Man looked fucking great. Okay, and those are the things that everybody is talking about as far as the highlights of Sony's conference and everything. But all of that combined was like 20 minutes out of the close to an hour and a half that they were on fucking stage.
No, they were on stage for less than an hour, is what people were saying. It was a short presentation. Yes. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
But even still, basically that's 3 out of everything, all the games and everything that they went and presented. If you combine God of War, Days Gone, and the Spider-Man footage, it's less than half of the rest of the other shit. Okay, and it just felt like they were just kind of going through the motions. It felt really soulless, And because of that, that's what makes it my least presentation. It's not like I didn't like, when they were actually showing gameplay or stuff like that. But really, all right, I'm a big fishing geek. I don't give a fuck about VR, though. And you know what? Me playing Noctis holding a fucking fishing pole, all right? I'd rather go ahead and, dust off the old tackle myself, okay? Start throwing that shit out there.
What's interesting is that you said that. Now that you said that, I think the presenter at Sony, he was drained of energy. At least Phil Spencer walked out there with a little bit of enthusiasm, but he seemed to me like he walked out there. He's like, "Here we are again."
Yeah, that was the thing. I mean, even when they had live people on stage, it felt like. It felt like they were wired up and they were animatronic fucking puppets on stage with people doing bad voice acting. Move your right arm.
Absolutely.
Blink your eyes. Blink your fucking eyes. Show them that you're human. God damn it. Show the emotion, motherfucker. Come on.
That, absolutely. And you brought that, and I just dawned on him as like, yeah, that guy just, when he walked out there on stage, they need Adam Boyes back, dude, for real.
Yeah, but he totally left Sony.
But
I guess I'm a little bit in a different boat than you guys as far as that. Phil Spencer insulted me during the conference. Okay. Announcing that your Xbox One games will work on the Xbox One X and people cheered that shit. I'm like, wait a second here. You're cheering something that's a duh as far as an announcement. Why was that big? Why was that big of an announcement? Oh, they didn't drop the car this time. They had it draped in the background. Too much talking was done in the Microsoft stage. And I do admit that on the Sony stage, it kind of felt like that, okay, we're just here, and let's go home. Here are the games. But at least it was a montage of games, and they were like, we're not going to waste that much time talking about it. We're just going to show you. And I actually liked that. Instead of wasting our time telling us garbage, telling us something that may not even be true, and insulting our intelligence by saying that, oh, yeah, all this will work on the console, when that should be common freaking knowledge.
Well, I will say for this, okay, that's part of the reason why I didn't sit there and say that Microsoft was, even as much as they impressed me, they weren't my favorite presentation out there, because I didn't start getting upset with the Microsoft presentation until the very end when I started asking questions, and I was like, wait a minute, I gotta Google this information. Why the fuck can't they have this explained out there, okay? Now, look, if you sit there and you give me a presentation, and I feel like I'm going on a fucking Jumanji fucking scavenger hunt to go ahead and figure out what the fuck you're saying, yeah, that's gonna put me off, all right? But I will say that given the information that they went ahead and they presented this, at least they acted like they wanted to be there, and they had it put together very well, okay? Now, to get on to the last part, what did you see that was like a major surprise? Okay, and I know we've only got like 6.5 minutes left. All right, what did you see on E3 out of everything that was out there that was like a major surprise to you?
A freaking multiplayer Kirby from Nintendo. The funniest thing about that was one of my wish lists always. But when they presented it, I admit it, I marked out. I'm sorry. I was like, I literally celebrated. I couldn't believe it. That was something that I had talked about even with the middle-aged guys for months. and when it actually came about, I was like, holy shit, they actually fucking did it. Then another 2D Metroid. Yes, it's for the 3DS. I don't care. It's a 2D Metroid. It's a remake of Metroid 2. Awesome. Okay? Yoshi for the Switch. Awesome. Some people are like, oh, there's no Smash Brothers. They could wait. There's going to be an RPG Pokemon on the Switch. I mean, damn. Gray Mouse, what about you?
I would say a lot of Bethesda's stuff. I was really enjoying the weirdness. I like those weird games. I was really glad to see the Wolfenstein and all that weird. That was great.
Yep. Was there?
Let me just say this. For anybody that may be saying that, oh, God, they're putting down Sony. Look, God damn it. I have one of these, and so does Gray Mouse motherfucking one, okay? Look, we want all these fucking companies to do well, okay? They have Switches. I don't yet.
Oh, it's back now.
Shit, I have to say that now.
Sure.
Look, I will partake in one just because of what Nintendo presented.
Yep.
And that's the way you sell your shit.
Yep. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that pile, Gray Mouse?
Of what?
At this moment in time? Well, as far as things that surprised you or anything like that?
Nah, yeah. What really, like I said, what really surprised me was how weird Bethesda's conference. I mean, it was just straight weird. That was weird. I mean, we were like, the fuck did I just watch? You know, it just. I mean, and I'm a weird guy, so I like weird shit.
That wasn't even in a negative way.
No, I don't mean it negative at all. I was like, hell yeah, I want to partake in that. That milky goodness.
We'll just leave it at that, all right? I'd have to say the biggest surprise for me happened like right at the beginning of E3, the very first conference that we covered and everything. But Star Wars Battlefront 2, okay? I was not expecting it to be running as well as it did. Neither did I. Me giving fucks about an EA third-person PvE fucking game, competitive shooter game, was the farthest fucking thing from my mind coming into E3, all right? But damn it, I gotta say, you know, I've got a capable PC. I'm really tempted, you know, but that's going to require that I fucking install EA Origins. Yeah, but still, it got me to the point where I'm really tempted that, and that's really the biggest surprise for me, okay? It's one of the few things, like I said, I'm not big on EA, but you know what? When I saw it, it looked really fucking good, and it looked fun, all right? And I didn't sit there and I didn't get motion sick, you know, watching people play. So, all right. Oh, with that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we've only got like 2 minutes left on this particular one, all right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap this up for like our best, worst, most surprising. We might have a part 2 coming out pretty soon. All right, regarding other random thoughts that things we want to go ahead and talk about. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this particular one. What we want to know, folks, is that if you saw E3, if you stuck through everything, what were your thoughts on E3? What did you like? What didn't you like? What was really surprising for you? All right, we want to go ahead and hear about it. You can let us know by leaving a comment below. While you're at it, mash on that like button. And if you really like what we do here with our videos, and you really like what we're putting out, we encourage you to go ahead and subscribe. All right. With that said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this particular video right here. That's our particular poignant thoughts for E3 now that everything has ended up. And all right here, we're going to wrap that up. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
Gray Mouse 1.
Once again, for the benefits of common sense, logic, and gaming, E3. Wow, Nintendo actually fucking did good this year. And Sony and Microsoft, can we have an E3 where all of them just do fucking great? Seriously. Fuck. And then we'll suffer because we're gamers, and then our wallets will be empty, just like Gray Mouse 1 alluded to earlier. Credits.
No, I think the last time that happened was back in 2006, and I was working for Activision at the time. When I attended E3 and I was at the floor, I believe my name was James Huang. All right? Because of the badge that they went ahead and they assigned me. But you know what? Whether or not I was me, the Reverend, or James Huang, fuck, I liked what I saw.